So loads of people know about Target's Swiss point system. This system, such as on this Luke Littler loadout dart, is a point which can screw in to the end of the barrel, which means you can change them really quickly within a matter of seconds with the Target Swiss point tool. This tool comes supplied with every set of Swiss point darts that you buy, and you'll see the little SP symbol on the front of the packaging of most Target darts nowadays. Most of Target's darts do get sold with the Swiss point system now, so these tools and these points are available in most of those darts. One thing I have seen since the start of the new year, obviously we've gained a lot of new darts fans, and many people believe Target Swiss point system is the only system where you can actually change points. Now this just isn't actually true. Here we have the dart from the £10 versus £100 dart video. If you haven't seen that, go and check it out. I'll leave a card somewhere on the screen. And as I mentioned in that video is I left the stock point in there because it costs a bit of money to basically be able to repoint the dart. Now what do I mean by that? So you can actually repoint any dart, pretty much for the most part. There's a couple of darts where the points won't come out, like Colin Lloyd had some like years ago. You can kind of effectively see that there is actually a hole in the end of this dart which the point goes in. Now this is actually fitted with something called an interference fit. So basically the point is ever so slightly narrower than the hole that it goes in, so you don't need any glue or anything. The point just jams into the hole with a lot of force, and it means it is stuck in the point and you can't pull it out, as you can see there. But you can actually change this with a repointing tool. So this is my repointing tool. It is the Winmore Craftsman. It is actually probably one of the more expensive repointing tools, but I was sort of recommended this on a good review, and I absolutely love it. To be fair, it works really, really well. You can get them for cheaper. You can pick up a repointing tool for about £40. And the idea of this is, I'll show you a close up on the screen, but you insert your dart into the tool, you screw it onto the thread, and you can actually clamp the point down the bottom, and then when you twist the top, it will pull the point away from the barrel and it will take it out without having to use, obviously excess human force. The force comes through the tool itself. Then what you can do is actually replace the point in the tool and then push it back into the barrel, and again it will fit with an interference fit. Sounds really simple. Obviously you'll be seeing on the screen me changing some points in some darts, and this is actually how people do change the points on their darts. You may see people who don't use Swiss point darts with different points, and that is how you actually change the points on darts that are non-Swiss point. You actually use a repointing tool. Some other things that perhaps people get wrong when it comes to points is that you can put Swiss point points into any dart. I haven't heard of anyone being able to do this, so I wouldn't recommend going out and buying Swiss points to put into a dart. Many people also buy normal points to put into a Swiss point dart. Again, that doesn't work because you need the thread to be able to put it in. I have heard of a few people managing to do this, and in fact Luke Littler uses his own points in his own darts, but that is because he is not using a Swiss point version. He will get a version specifically made by Target which do not have the Swiss point thread, so don't try and mess up your Swiss point thread darts by putting normal points in. I wouldn't recommend it because it will void the warranty, and then if anything goes wrong with your barrels then Target aren't going to replace it. So why might you want to change the points in your darts? So obviously with the Swiss points, the idea of changing points is that you can perhaps get a bit of extra grip, a bit of extra length. Target have recently released the 40mm Swiss points, and this is to give a longer point so you can get more space in the treble bed to basically fit more darts in and hit more 180s. Or you can change the angle of entry of your dart, the way it sits in the board, with a longer or shorter point as well. So that is some of the reasons why you may want to change the points. There are plenty of points available, and in fact over time, if you buy a normal dart with a repointing tool, you can actually repoint your friend's darts, and they can buy you a drink or something, or they can pay you a bit of money just to repoint some darts, and there's a lot of point options available out there. You don't have to buy the points to match the brand of your barrels, so I actually have some mission points in my darts, and they are actually custom made darts with a sort of generic standard size thread. I've seen people use longer points in Red Dragon darts from Mission. Mission generally do the cheaper points. Doesn't mean they're any less quality, but I think they do the cheapest of the standard silver, black and gold points. There's obviously a load of range of options of gripped points on there, and also some coned points where you can get the point to go up to the barrel and it goes flush to the barrel with no sort of lip, which means it will actually keep your flights for longer. Although I don't think it's that much of a big deal, to be honest. I think a big deal is made of no lip on your dart, but I think personally you just have to use what suits you. There is actually a handy guide, I'll try and put it on screen, from Custom Made Darts. They actually have measured the width of each of the different brands' points so that you know how big the points are, because there may be some instances where you perhaps have the largest hole available, which I believe is one of the target points, and you have a really small hole and it perhaps doesn't quite fit, or vice versa, where you have a smaller point and a larger hole and the point just doesn't stick in. You can just use a dab of super glue on your point, literally a tiny amount, and you can put it in and just push it in with the repointing tool and let it stick for like 5-10 minutes, and then yeah, it should just be stuck in the barrel with no real damage to the barrel or the point itself. Just use a nice little dab of super glue and it does the trick absolutely fine. So me personally, what would I recommend in terms of points? You just have to go with what suits you. Obviously Swiss point darts are good for experimenting. You can take points out, you can put points in really easily, and you don't actually mess up the thread or the hole of your dart, because over time if you repoint your dart too many times it will widen that hole and then you will have to use super glue to repoint your darts. So if you use a repointing tool, obviously it does make it slower to repoint your darts. So perhaps if you're looking to try a longer point, maybe look at buying a cheap set of Swiss point darts and then getting a few different lengths of Swiss point and also some different grips on your points as well. Then you can experiment that way. And if there's a set of darts that you like that perhaps don't have Swiss points, then you'll know to buy whatever length point you like with whatever grip you like, and you can use your repointing tool to repoint your darts. Personally for me, I use a dart that isn't a Swiss point, and that is because purely I don't really need to change my points that often. Realistically, you shouldn't really be changing your points on a game to game or perhaps even 6 monthly basis. There are people out there that have played with darts with their points in for years and years and have never really had to change them. Now obviously there are instances where you need to change your points, such as if they snap, but personally for me, I can use the same points for a very long time and not really have to worry about ever changing them, so I don't necessarily need a Swiss point system. When it comes to repointing, basically you can change the point on any single dart that is out there on the market basically. Like 99% of darts you can change the point. Swiss points are obviously quicker to change, easier to change, however the points are probably a little bit more expensive as well, and that is the cost you are giving away to the Swiss point system because it is easier to change. Also the points are more likely to snap. This is a inbuilt design of the Swiss point system so that if your points do snap on the little sort of ring on the dart, you can still change it, whereas sometimes if your point snaps and your barrel absolutely flush, you have to get it drilled out or a really long process of actually getting rid of it to be able to repoint your darts again. For the non-Swiss point darts, again, you can change your points. Points are a bit cheaper and they do tend to last a little bit longer as well, or if not even longer, for years and years. It obviously depends on what points you like, because some points, if you have grip on them, the grip may wear away and you may need to replace them every few months or so, depending on how often you play. And there's also a greater range of points available, ones with different types of grip, different lengths. You can go up to like a 66 or 50mm point if you really wanted to, obviously we're staying within the legal limit of the length of the dart. Whereas Swiss points, you're limited to the lengths they create. Also with a non-Swiss point dart, you can actually get a bigger point and cut it down. So for me personally, I use a 44mm point, which is actually quite long, and you don't really find that length as standard from any companies. So I actually have to buy a 50mm point or a 66mm point, which are more readily available, and actually cut them down to the length I require. So that is another thing, you can actually customise your points a little bit more if you have a non-Swiss point dart, and you don't have to be limited to the Swiss point style of point. And yeah, that is basically it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope it's been informative. I just wanted to make people aware that you can actually change the point on any darts and not just the Swiss point darts, because it is a thing that I've seen people get confused by, especially this year when you've got new people into darts and Target are like the #1 brand. Obviously Luke Littler plays with Target darts and they probably think, why has Luke Littler got darts that don't use Swiss points but they only sell them with Swiss points? Has he just put a normal point in a Swiss point dart? And obviously you can't do that, it's because his made especially. And yeah, there's lots of different things about points which perhaps people don't know, and it is something that can be easily overcome and easily worked out as well. And hopefully this video is a little guide to that. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments down below and I'll be free to answer them and hopefully solve your problems when it comes to repointing. And yeah guys, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like so it helps push this video to more people that aren't subscribed to my channel. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe. It is absolutely free, and turn on notifications to be notified when I upload. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.